Welcome back to the Announcers Curse podcast. I'm Derek Todoroff.
And I'm Caden Barksdale.
It's weird not having
It's so
the
weird.
second voice there. Yeah, that's a strange one. Well, you might notice that depending on when this is recorded and if I have to redo it, it's just Caden and I today. Ben has an early work, and we're not going to blame him for missing this to focus on the job that actually makes him money right now, which of course means, hey, if you want to encourage everyone to be here for every episode, we highly recommend you sponsor us here at the Announced Curse Podcast.
And if you can't sponsor us, you can still help us out by liking, sharing, whatever, downloading on Spotify, all the things.
On whatever platform you're on, give us a review, like and share, subscribe if you're over on YouTube, follow us if you're on Spotify. Today, we're not going to be talking that much about racing. We're going to be focused on the wide and wonderful world of hockey.
Playoff
and
hockey.
The NHL. Yeah, Stanley Cup Playoffs are upon us. So let's talk.
Sounds right.
So the NHL, the biggest hockey league in the world, the peak of all peaks, chasing the Stanley Cup, one of the most iconic trophies in all of sports, kicking off here just a little bit ago. Of course, there is some games that have already been played, but I'm going to kind of walk Caden through. It's been a long season for some of these teams. Some have some big things they'd love to shake. Some of them just back in the dance again, trying to finish the job this time. For the past 2 years, the team that has beat the Edmonton Oilers has gone on to win the Stanley Cup, primarily because they've made the Stanley Cup final the past 2 years. And the team that's knocked them down, the Florida Panthers, is chasing a lottery pick in this year's draft. That being said, our first game to look at is over in the Western Conference. The President's Trophy winning Colorado Avalanche facing off against the Los Angeles Kings. The Kings setting the record for the most times to overtime in one season. We're kind of just going to take this slowly. For those who don't know, hockey is a best of 7 within the playoffs for each round, going home, away, home, away, home. That's the way it's set up in the wonderful world of hockey. The Colorado Avalanche will have that home ice advantage for the entire playoffs as the President's Trophy winners, no matter how far they go. Facing off against the LA Kings, the Kings have also been in the dance the past 3 seasons. And for the past 3 seasons, it's ended in round 1 against the Edmonton Oilers because they faced the Oilers in round 1 each of the past 3 seasons. They've tried a variety of things to try and shake that. It hasn't worked out. I invite you, Caden. Avalanche or Kings here in round 1?
This is an interesting one. One of the better matchups, I would say, or at least one of the ones I know the most about. I really like Colorado as a state. As a team, I don't really want to see them win, just because I like the streak going that started in, I believe, 2013 was the last time it happened, where the team that won the President's Trophy won the Stanley Cup. I don't want that to happen, so I'm going to have to take the Kings here, even though I might prefer the Avalanche.
I will note that the last time the Avalanche won the Stanley Cup, they had won the President's Trophy.
Oh.
So that is a interesting note there.
That is interesting.
That being said, I'm a Detroit Red Wings fan. I chose that team when I was an itty-bitty kid, and my mom would put the NHL on in front of me. And as such, I'm legally required to hate the Colorado Avalanche and everything they stand for. That being said, I'm not picking who my favorite team is. I'm picking the team that I actually think will win. And so I am going to go with the Avalanche, but I will add that the Kings are responsible for one of the greatest underdog stories in the history of the sport of hockey, as they are the lowest seed ever to win the Stanley Cup. And they come into this one as wild card number 2 in the West.
I do want to say I do think that Colorado is going to win, but in fact, last week or this weekend, someone asked me who I thought was going to win, and I'd said Colorado. But
interesting.
I just don't think I can pick them here.
It's a real. It's funny because both of these teams have history that would suggest they do well. Yeah. One of them is a team that President's Trophy win. Sure, usually that's a curse, but for this team in the past, that's been kind of the key to everything. And they're facing off against the bottom seed in the West, number 8, in the form of the Kings, who barely squeaked into this one on the back of overtime. On paper, they should dominate, but they're also up against a team who's had the biggest underdog story in
anything can happen.
this particular sport.
Yeah.
And anything can happen. On that note, it's very likely this next matchup is one of the most even in the playoffs. Dallas and Minnesota. These two teams faced near the end of the season, and they really showed off that they are equally matched teams. And as we're recording this right now, we are heading into game 3 here in 2 days. Notably, the series is tied 1-1 between Dallas and Minnesota. And I know a lot less about these two teams, I admit, but I will say Dallas and Colorado has happened 2 of the past 2 years. And those two teams are thrillers to watch go up against each other. And I really, really hope we get another Dallas-Colorado matchup in round 2. And I think it can happen. So I am going to pick Dallas on this side as well. I think it's going to go to game 7. Let me also say that. I think
that's fair.
The Wild and the Stars can give us our first game 7 of everybody.
Okay. I looked it up, and they did finish 2-2 in their regular season series against each other. So they're really even. I agree it's going to go to game 7. I think in my mind, Minnesota is more of a hockey place than Dallas is. Like, what's Dallas doing with
You'd think that.
So I think I just have to pick Minnesota based on that. Like, it kind of makes me mad that Dallas even has a team.
Well, it's funny you should mention that. You might be wondering, what do Stars have to do with the state of Dallas, other than the single one on their flag?
Or Lone Star State, yeah.
It might have to do with the fact that this team isn't originally from Dallas. Hockey's a sport where franchises move from place to place, and this team, well, the Dallas Stars used to be the Minnesota North Stars.
No way. Okay. That's interesting. That makes more sense. That's a better name, in my opinion.
Thank God I'm not wrong.
Hold on. What does Minnesota have to do with Stars?
It's the North Star. The North Stars is their whole deal. They made it work. Franchises moving around is one of the more fascinating sides of this sport, and how there's a push a while back to have more Southern teams. The Dallas Stars are arguably one of the most successful of those teams that relocated.
I know the most unsuccessful.
Yeah, we'll get to them in this today, because we'll be speaking on them.
But yeah,
I should note, by the way, that Dallas has made the Stanley Cup Final 5 different times as the Dallas Stars, and they do have 1 Stanley Cup out of that from 1999.
Got some experience under their belt.
They also won the President's Trophy the last time, or the only time they won the Stanley Cup.
So when the team moved from out of Minnesota, did a new team just pop
eventually?
Up, or did a different one move?
Minnesota was a new franchise. Okay. The Wild came along later. Now, I know we kind of alluded to this, so we're just going to do it now. The least successful of all the teams to move down south, that honor goes to the Arizona Coyotes.
Yes.
Who were the original Winnipeg Jets. And there's no Winnipeg Jets in this year's playoffs.
Yeah.
One of the two teams who had a great season last year that aren't in the dance this year. But the Coyotes, also not in this year's playoffs, but they, although not in this is a really complicated thing. Utah replaced the Coyotes, but is recognized by the NHL as a different franchise. No one really knows why, but for the sake of simplicity, the Utah Mammoth are the Arizona Coyotes.
They took the roster.
The Mammoth, yes. Okay. The Mammoth are in the dance this year with their new mascot, their new stadium. They've looked okay. They've had Wild Card 1 on lock for a while now, and they're facing off against the team that somehow won the Pacific. Anyone who's been following hockey this year is aware of the fact that the Pacific Division was just a nightmare.
Eating each other alive.
They're just absolutely ripping into one another.
Yeah.
There are 3 teams, I believe, in the Eastern Conference who missed the playoffs who would have won the Pacific. if they were in the Pacific Division. Vegas is the team that eventually comes out on top, featuring controversial goaltender Carter Hart. There's a lot about Carter Hart. You're welcome to look into that yourself. I'm not going to get into that because that's, I've said enough crazy things on this podcast. I don't need to get myself in legal trouble for things I say on this podcast.
Yeah.
The Vegas Golden Knights, regardless of what you think, are facing off against the Utah Mammoth. A series that, as we speak, is 1-0 in favor of the Golden Knights. But hey, you were just talking about Dallas not feeling like a place that would have a hockey team. That's a major metropolitan area, though.
That's
How
true.
about Salt Lake City and Las Vegas when it comes to city you think of when you think of hockey?
That might be worse. Vegas, especially. I don't understand
Yeah,
how
they've got-
Vegas is still growing. They're getting a baseball team too. They don't need all that. It's a desert.
Money. It's a rich desert, very wealthy desert.
Okay. Who am I picking here? Well, I just made my thoughts on Vegas clear. So I think and I do like Utah. It's a very beautiful state. So I'm gonna have to pick Utah. The Mammoths are gonna do it.
I'm loving this methodology for picking these.
Yeah. It's the Caden logic.
Truth be told, the Vegas Golden Knights are here because of their coaching change they made. And I really think that's going to be the difference maker here. They are the best team in the Pacific. They earned that title. And I do think they're going to get out of round one against Utah. We're going to talk about round two in a moment because obviously we're going to have our picks for what round two is. This is not a team that can win the Stanley Cup, but this is a team that can get out of round one. On that, pivoting to our final Western Conference matchup, it's the other two teams that made it out of the Pacific. Two teams that are one team, little surprised to see here. The other team, surprised to see how much they struggled this season as the one from the Stanley Cup Finals who actually made it this far again this year. The Edmonton Oilers are back at it, this time facing the Anaheim Ducks in round one, the other Californian team in the playoffs. Edmonton has probably the greatest hockey player in the world right now. This is really a no-brainer. They're missing one of the best as well. One of his backups, Leon Draisaitl, is still out. It's going to be a difference maker, but I do think Connor McDavid is enough to help this team float above the water. Edmonton looks good. Good enough. We'll emphasize good enough. I really don't think any Pacific team is winning the West this year. I think this is very much the Central Division has the open door and they just need to step across the threshold.
Sure.
With teams like the Avalanche and the Wild and the Stars. The Kings are here too, but those three can really show off. This is their chance. The Pacific is a rough go.
Yeah, I think I have to pick Edmonton as well. They always seem to be in the dance, and they're at least going to make it out of round one. I will say I did pick both wildcard teams to advance, so
You did.
I've been upset.
I mean, unusual for me. I've only picked favorites, so
Yeah, we're kind of switching roles here.
Yeah. Well, we head to the East. The East side. I'm going to start at the bottom. Oh, honestly, both. Now we're going to start in the middle for this one because two of these matchups are just miles more exciting than two of the other two, admittedly. So we're going to start with one of the less exciting ones, that being Tampa Bay and Montreal. This is a combo. Montreal, one of the youngest teams in hockey right now, filled with up-and-coming talent that they've worked hard to develop. Question on everybody's mind is, can Canada finally win the Stanley Cup again? And it really looks like their best bet this year might be, of all teams, the Montreal Canadiens, who have been off and on for these past few years, but they're bringing this young talent up. They had a decent playoff run last year. To do it, though, they got to go through the Lightning, who are arguably the most successful franchise over these past 5-10 years. They've been right there running with their fellow Florida team, the Panthers. They've got their own back-to-back titles. I mean, Tampa Bay is trying to cement itself as a hockey city, as absolutely crazy as that sounds to say.
That is
as much as I feel like a nutcase for saying that.
How did they figure out hockey but not baseball?
Lots of money. Honestly, so much money in this team as well.
That makes sense.
But these are the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions from 2000, from 20 and 21. This is This is a good hockey franchise, and they really, really are trying to show off what they can do. I don't know. There's so much here. You just got to wonder what the Lightning can do. That being said, this is my first upset to take. I think the Canadiens, the young talent, the young core, let's see how far they go. Let's ride with Montreal. Go Habs.
That's my pick too. You gotta go with the Canadiens. Is that how you say it? Canadiens.
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 N.
Ends.
Yep, there you go.
Montreal. I'm
at the
picking
end.
Montreal.
Montreal. Go Habs.
Yeah.
The other middle matchup we got here is another team that's actually been super successful over these past few years. That being the Carolina Hurricanes, who are storming into this one looking pretty hot. And Canes, I really don't know a lot about these two teams. It's probably the matchup that I know the least about. You've got the Canes on one side and the
Honestly,
Ottawa Senators on the other one. The Senators are part of what for a long time I've heard referred to as the Bermuda Triangle of mediocrity. I think it's not super accurate to call it the Bermuda Triangle, mostly because it's not near Bermuda. I would call it, let's see here.
the most famous triangle, I would say. That's an interesting thing to think about, actually. What's the most famous triangle?
I don't know. I'd almost call it the Ontario Triangle. This is the teams in this triangle. Funnily enough, I will say there is a team within the triangle who's not counted as being part of the triangle, because you can make a very nice triangle out of Detroit, Ottawa, and Buffalo. And we'll get to Buffalo.
Yeah. That is
But
a nice triangle.
These three have been struggling lately. The Sens are in the dance, obviously. They've made it this far. I really don't think they can go much farther, though. And hey, give me the Canes.
The Canes. Okay. I mean, yeah, like I said, I don't know much about this matchup either. They already lead 2-0. I think it's the right pick. The Hurricanes.
This next, I really don't know which of these last two matchups to go with. I think I'm going to go with the big story. Caden, you can relate to this.
Okay.
The Buffalo Sabres had one of the longest playoff droughts in sports. In a sport where making the playoffs is significantly easier than on a lot of sports, which is to say half of the league makes the Stanley Cup playoffs. The Sabres haven't been to the dance in a long time. It has been 15 years since the Buffalo Sabres last went to the Stanley Cup playoffs. Longest drought in hockey. Okay. They finally snap it this season, and they snap it in dramatic fashion. Top of the Eastern Conference, top of one of the most competitive divisions in hockey. They had to hold off the Tampa Bay Lightning and the Montreal Canadiens down the stretch, with Boston breathing down their neck. Their arena scheduled concerts. So did Philadelphia's, and we'll talk about that in a bit again. But
because they didn't expect to be in the playoffs?
A lot of people wrote this team off at the top of the season.
Wow.
Buffalo has struggled, and they have shown everybody. The Sabres are back, and they are a favorite against Boston.
That's crazy.
One of the original 6 teams is an underdog against the Buffalo Sabres, a sentence that hasn't been said in probably 20 years. This Sabres team, which, by the way, is the only representative of the state of New York in this. There's 3 New York teams. The one who made it is the Buffalo Sabres. I'm shocked. Many people are shocked. The Sabres Twitter admin went on a whole tear where he just started adding people and keeping receipts of everybody who said they weren't going to make it. The host of the Spitting Chicklets podcast said that he didn't think Buffalo would do anything this year. Buffalo put up a billboard of that tweet.
That's awesome.
In Buffalo.
That's awesome.
They know what they have. And it's hard to pick against them. They're up against Boston, who is a solid team, don't get me wrong. But this is a hungrier fan base.
Yeah, it seems like...
What do they have?
They have the narrative.
What does the city of Buffalo have? Boston has the Celtics. They've got the Patriots. They've got the Red Sox. Not that they've done very much lately. No. But the Bruins, who are a good team, are on the wrong side of history, I think. They're up against a team that has everything to fight for. Because to go from someone who has been out of the playoffs for 15 years, If you can win the Stanley Cup, that's how you leave a legacy.
Yeah.
And that's how you cement all your names at the top of that trophy etched into Lord Stanley. The Sabres, notably, have never won a Stanley Cup.
I have to pick them. There's no way I can't after that.
It's a hard
too relatable
story to go against.
I will say
I got to tug on those
streak was longer,
Mariners.
but, we're not comparing sizes here.
Mariner streak was longer, but I will also point out for those who don't know, it's much harder to get into the MLB playoffs.
I wouldn't say much harder. It's a little harder. I think they have how many teams?
Or I guess it's the same now. Nowadays, isn't it?
Huh?
6? Is it 6 or is it 7?
There's 5 in a conference. It's
or who makes it?
Wait, hold on. Let me look.
So
I don't know actually. 6 teams from each league make it. 4 wild cards and 2 division winners.
Okay, so 6 teams so 12 teams in a total playoff versus 16. I mean, yeah, the Sabres hockey. I will say hockey also swings a lot year to year. Who's good and who's not. I mean, obviously the back-to-back Stanley Cup champions are possibly going to get the first round draft pick next year.
Yeah.
Insane sentence.
Baseball
that's unbelievable.
More pay to win, I feel like, where you can be good if you have enough money.
You know what? We're gonna look at salary cap space here. This is a side tangent, but Golden Knights are $12 million above the salary cap.
Oh,
I don't know how that works.
Huh. Do they probably have the luxury tax? No,
I don't think so.
They just get to do that.
I know there's some contracts are exempt in the NHL, like don't count. So that's probably what it is.
Okay, yeah.
I'm always a fan of the MLS has the designated player system where you can select, I think it's 3 players who are not included in your salary cap. So effectively you can have 3 superstars, which I
like that.
I really like that rule.
Yeah.
It lets you have a salary cap while still, rewarding owners who are willing to spend more money.
Right.
And also, letting teams have superstars. I will note, so the top 5 teams based off of their cap hit for this season are the Golden Knights, Panthers, Islanders, Devils, and Stars. Only 2 of those teams are in the playoffs.
Yeah.
The bottom 5 are the Blackhawks, Red Wings, Ducks, Penguins, and Flames, and 2 of those teams are in the playoffs.
Let's see what it was for baseball this past year. That's crazy. Oh, this is 2026. Okay. That's why. So the Mets are number 1. Then it's the Dodgers. They missed. Yeah, notably they missed. Dodgers made it. Phillies, I think they made it. Yankees made it. Yeah. Everyone but the Mets.
That's the Mets, man.
And you can keep going
when
down.
You pay a man $1 billion not to hit the ball.
Yeah. So.
You're the Mets. All right. Getting back on topic.
Yes. Yeah.
Very rarely. So, yeah, both of us taking Buffalo on that one. Last game in the first round, the last game that is currently determined. Very, very rarely in sports do you get the opportunity to have a crosstown rivalry in the playoffs. And this isn't crosstown, but this is cross-state. The Philadelphia Flyers should not be here. 2 weeks ago, they were not in the conversation. No one thought they would make the playoffs, but they went on a tear. They made the right moves. They knocked the Islanders out, hopped right over them, and found their place in the playoffs.
Wow.
And who do they meet?
Yeah, that's crazy.
The Pittsburgh Penguins. If Buffalo's not here, the story is these Penguins. Mm-hmm. The Penguins, another team who were written off. So there is a superstar on the Pittsburgh Penguins. Sidney Crosby is a legend. He is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He is one of the greatest players ever to play this sport. The kind of guy that if you take Gretzky and Howe out of the equation is in the GOAT conversation. He's played the same long career as Alexander Ovechkin, and sure, he doesn't have the goals, but he is an assist. He's a producer. He's one of the biggest players of this century, very plainly put. At the top of this season and the end of last, #SaveSid was trending for a while, of people begging the Pittsburgh Penguins to trade Sidney Crosby, who has played for them his entire NHL career, because they were wasting him.
Mm.
Fans wanted Crosby to go finish his career somewhere he'd be appreciated, somewhere he'd find success. And Sidney Crosby said, I'm going to do that here.
Yeah.
Here they are. The Penguins are back. Crosby's still producing. He's still looking young. Him and Ovechkin do not look the same as they once did. Many people thought that's what this matchup was going to be. I should also note. A lot of people really thought this was going to be the Capitals and the Penguins, one for the ages between Alexander Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby here at the twilights of their careers, especially Ovechkin. But no, this is now a cross-state rivalry, the Flyers and the Penguins. And these are two passionate fan bases. I've seen plenty of jokes about people blowing up Philadelphia when they win a game. I've seen, and positively, I should note that those are from Flyers fans.
Right.
I've seen Penguins fans sending death threats to people because they're wearing jerseys that are the wrong color because they're fair weather fans and the team has been black and gold forever. These are two very, very passionate fan bases. So here we go. It's the Penguins and the Flyers. Notably, the Flyers lead the series 2-0 right now, which is a shocker for many people.
Do we know
these games have
if they were at home for those wins?
They were not.
They won 2 on the road?
2 on the road.
Okay. I mean, I think.
And I should add 2 on the road. 2 on the road in pretty convincing fashion, 3-2 and 3-0.
Okay. I have to take the Flyers if they won 2 on the road. I mean, they might go for the sweep here now that they have the home ice advantage.
Hey, sometimes it swings back the other way. That's the thing true. I'll tell you.
You never know.
Oh, man. The Pittsburgh Penguins. These guys were menaces when I was a little kid. This was like when I was a little kid, my mom used to put hockey on the TV. This was the golden age of Sidney Crosby and his Pittsburgh Penguins. Well, I've been alive. They've won the Stanley Cup 3 times.
Wow.
This is a long legacy for a team. Marc-Andre Fleury, Sidney Crosby, the names who have been here, some of the biggest ones out there. I gotta believe. I gotta believe in Sid. I can't call him Sid the Kid anymore. He's not a kid. He's been playing hockey a year less than I've been alive. So I kind of hard to call him that. But I think he can, if anybody can dig himself out of a hole like this, it's Sidney Crosby. And that's what superstars do. Take notes, Juan Soto.
He is not a superstar.
He's being paid superstar money. I don't even think Sidney Crosby's in the top 10 highest contracts. Hold on. We're taking another detour here. He's the highest earner over his entire career, which does kind of make sense. I should note he's been playing. So Sidney Crosby has 19 years of hockey playing for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Like that's what I mean by this. This man is a loyal player. He's not in the top 5 for this season. All right.
Juan Soto's not even in the top 20 active players for WAR.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
You pay a man $1 billion not to catch a ball.
All right. Let's hope I remember my picks.
Here we go. Western Conference semifinal. Up at the top of the board, you picked LA and Minnesota. I picked Colorado and Dallas. Yep. So I'll ask you yours first.
Okay. I mean, it's fun to pick the wildcard teams, but I think this is the end of the road for the Kings. Unfortunately.
Minnesota moves on.
Minnesota's more of a hockey place in my brain than LA. And it should be in yours too.
Okay. Dallas and Colorado. These two teams have met in the playoffs these past few years, and it's always a thriller. Dallas keeps coming out on top, though. I don't think that's the case this time. Colorado is a dangerous team. The Avs are rolling. I think they know what they need to do to win. I think they know the path to this trophy will take them through 2 cities specifically, and we'll get to the other one here in a bit. But I do believe the Avs can beat Dallas.
They have the momentum on their side, for sure.
The other West Coast or Western Conference semifinal, you had Utah and Edmonton. I had Vegas and Edmonton.
Yeah, again, fun to pick the wild card, but the Oilers are just too good there. And plus, I want a Canadian team to win it. It would be really cool to have Montreal and Edmonton make it to the final. That would be insane, but I don't think that's going to happen. But Edmonton will move on one more round.
I do want to note, by the way, that Edmonton only had one more point over the season than Utah did. If you want to know how the Pacific was doing.
That's crazy.
Yeah. For me, it's also Edmonton. The Oilers are better than the Knights. I know that it doesn't look like it. They just are. When it comes to getting to the Western Conference Final, the Oilers are really good. When it comes to winning the Stanley Cup, the Oilers cannot get the job done. That's where we're at right now. That sets up an Oilers-Avs Western Conference Final on my end, an Oilers-Wild Western Conference Final on your end.
Oh boy. My heart wants me to pick Minnesota, but it would just be so cool if Edmonton finally figured it out. I think I have to pick Edmonton here.
I've got to pick the Avs.
Yeah.
I said a moment ago, the path to the Stanley Cup goes through two cities. And for the Avalanche, it's Dallas and Edmonton. These are the two. It's been, for the record, Dallas and Edmonton. That's a pretty common Western Conference final matchup these past few years. So they're two solid teams. I think the Avs are better. I think the Avs need to prove they are the best in the West. And if anybody's going to break the President's Trophy curse, it's the Colorado Avalanche, which puts on my side the Colorado Avalanche locking themselves into the Stanley Cup final. And on Caden's side, the Edmonton Oilers. On the East, in the East, I should say. First Eastern Conference semifinal. I actually think we both went with Buffalo and Montreal.
Yeah.
So Buffalo and Montreal. Who do you think, Caden?
See, this is the hardest pick of the day, I think, for me. That we've got the story of Buffalo and my soft spot for Canadian teams. So, I mean, the story is too good. I have to pick Buffalo. My heart can't not root for them. The underdog Mariners of hockey.
The trophy we call the Stanley Cup has been handed out 109 times over the history of the sport of hockey. 27 different teams have hoisted it. No team ever has hoisted it more times than the Montreal Canadiens. This is a team who has seen the Stanley Cup final 35 times. This is one of the single most successful hockey franchises ever to exist. Buffalo has been here twice. So what are you looking at in a situation like this? Who do you look at? The youth movement versus the momentum. These are the two best teams in the Metro Division. How do you choose? It's pretty goddamn simple. You go with Buffalo because momentum's on their side.
Yeah.
Pretty goddamn simple. You go with Buffalo. It isn't 1993. Canada's not going to see that cup. It has been 33 years, and we're going to keep adding to that total. Let's go Buffalo.
Let's go Buffalo.
On the other side, comparatively, I need to emphasize, this is not an unexciting matchup, but just comparatively to the stakes, notably Montreal and Buffalo are not that far apart. Those will be pretty easy commutes for both teams. You'll see those stadiums jam-packed with each other's fans. On the other side of things, we both have the Hurricanes in the second semifinal facing off against either one of the Pennsylvania teams. For me, it's the Penguins. For you, it is the Flyers.
Yeah, this is a tough one too. I picked both teams that are up in their rounds right now. So they both have momentum here. I think I have to go with Philadelphia. I think they're going to sweep Pittsburgh and just carry that momentum into Carolina.
Wings are good, but there's always someone better. That's my philosophy on this one. This is a team that has been a very, very good team these past few years, but whether it's been the Lightning or the Panthers, someone's always a little bit better. I don't think that changes. I think this time it's the Penguins, though. I think Pittsburgh and Sidney Crosby are going to go meet Buffalo in that the Eastern Conference Final. And with that sets up, we both have a Pennsylvania team and we both have the Sabres. So, Caden, you got the Flyers and the Sabres?
Yes.
The Pens and I got the Pens and the Sabres.
I think I have to pick the Sabres. Buffalo's going all the way, for sure.
You want to be the best, you got to beat the best. That's an old saying in sports. I really think Buffalo has something special here, but I'm caught between a rock and a hard place. As one of these teams has everything to fight for, everything to prove, but they're up against another team that also is in that situation. The Penguins need to prove they are not gone. They need to prove that this is where Sidney Crosby should stay. And it probably is where he will stay. Making the Eastern Conference final, I think, will shut up a lot of people. If you can win the Eastern Conference, if you can make the Stanley Cup, that'll shut them all up. That'll show you're not done, that the era isn't over, that the Penguins are still powerhouses. I don't think they can. I really think Buffalo has something special. And when you're fighting for a city, it's a whole different ballgame. The Penguins have 3 trophies in that case. Buffalo doesn't have any.
Yeah, Buffalo's fighting for a whole city. Pittsburgh is fighting for a player. Granted, one of the greats, but...
Yeah, and I will note one of the differences between that is one of those means you got a lot of people in the stands rooting you on. The other one means that you have the guy you're fighting for right alongside you.
Yeah.
Which one of the... I mean, this is going to be an interesting playoff. So there are so many people excited for this year's NHL playoffs, and they should be. Because this is one absolute hell of a lineup. A season and a postseason that can give you anything. And I know it looks really boring on my bracket if you've been following along. I have the 1 seed versus the 1 seed. I have the best team in the regular season for the Eastern Conference, the best team in the regular season in the Western Conference facing off against each other. That's why I'm going to make my pick first, is because there's a story to Caden's. There's less of a story to mine. One of these teams is trying to bring it all home, and one of these teams is trying to bring it all together. I truly hope the Buffalo Sabres can do it, but hope is not the same thing as belief. The Colorado Avalanche are one of the best teams in the country. They're the President's Trophy winners. This is a dangerous league. This is a league where it is so hard to do this, to just consistently be the best. The last 2 times the Colorado Avalanche won the President's Trophy, the world ended.
Oh.
Because one of them was COVID-19.
Mm-hmm.
The COVID season certainly made everything weird, and they were eliminated by Vegas. The time before that, you got to go back a while. You got to go back to 2000 and 2001. The Colorado Avalanche won the Stanley Cup.
Wow.
The Avs are one of the best out there. It has been 13 years since a team last won the President's Trophy and then the Stanley Cup. That's going to break. I'm going to take the Colorado Avalanche to win the Stanley Cup in 2026. Caden, you're looking at a three-peat. That's what you've been eyeing this whole time. Edmonton winning 3 Western Conference titles in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And it puts them on a collision course with the Buffalo Sabres, team that's never won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
The Buffalo Sabres have been to this game twice. The Edmonton Oilers are a team with one of the richest histories of any non-original 6 team. They've been here 9 times. They've won it 5 times. They are one of the few teams that went back to back to back.
Repeat.
With appearances. They won it in 2 of those. Then, a couple years later, they came back and they did it again.
Wow.
The Oilers and the Gretzky era are one of the most famous and recognizable teams in the NHL.
For sure.
The Sabres are nobodies.
Yeah. I forgot that Buffalo even had a team, I'm not going to lie.
This is a team that no one knew what to name. No one knew why it was here. They're an older team than many people realize. But here we are. The Sabres and the Oilers. Can the greatest player in the world at the moment beat the best underdog story this sports seen in a long time? Can Canada break a 33-year curse? Or will it continue at the hands of Buffalo?
So, we've been making the comparison a lot that Buffalo is the Mariners in this scenario. And, well, what happened to the Mariners? They made it. They broke the drought. They made it further than they ever have. And they couldn't do it. They folded under the pressure.
Further than they ever have, though, for the only next step for the Buffalo Sabres is to win the title.
That is true. That is true. But
unlike some sports teams, they've actually been to the final.
Yeah, okay. All right. I get it. Oh. My team is worse, yes. I really want Buffalo to win. And like you said, I hope they do, but hope is not belief. I think Edmonton's going to do it. I think they're just the better team. And as much as a good story it would be, it's either way, it's a good story, honestly. So I'll be happy either way, but it is going to, I want Buffalo to win, but they're just not going to. I don't believe.
And there you have it.
And I'm a believer. And even I don't believe.
But ... Lost in all of this is the by far funniest option, which would be if the Pittsburgh Penguins faced off against the Edmonton Oilers and won in the Stanley Cup final. You might be wondering, why would that be the funniest option? That would be because Edmonton Oilers fans have been blaming their goaltender, Stuart Skinner, these past 2 years for being one of the major reasons why they never won those games. Stuart Skinner, now the goaltender for the Pittsburgh Penguins.
That would be awesome. That would be like
there you have it.
If Juan Soto got traded to the Yankees and then was suddenly the greatest player alive.
I'm not really sure that the Oilers and the
They're not
Penguins are quite
like
the Mets and the Yankees, but hey, sometimes it's just how it is.
Pirates, there you go, the other Pittsburgh team.
I picked Colorado to win the Stanley Cup. Caden picked Edmonton. That's the NHL for you. Over in the WHL, we're not going to pick this, but just letting you know, the Everett Silvertips facing off against Penticton Vees for the Western Conference Final in the WHL. Winner will go on to face the winner of Medicine Hat and the Prince Albert Raiders. The Eastern Conference Final decide who wins the WHL. We're always rooting for the Tips over here. We know you're rooting for the Tips here in the Northwest. And that'll do it for us here at the Announcer's Curse podcast. I know it's weird to not hear us talk about racing at all in a week. Thanks for joining us here at the Announcer's Curse podcast. I've been Derek Todoroff.
And I've been Caden Barksdale. It's weird to go second.
And remember, the Mariners will always be worse than the Buffalo Sabres.